welcome back to another edition of Crafting and Crime Daily, the show where I recap live trials while I craft. Today, I'm still working on the diamond painting, but yesterday, during my own time, you see this basket over here? I started another one of my gnome squares. Let me show you. These are the colors. I'll show you a previous square. Let me grab it. This is one of the ones I did for May, or for April. It's upside down. It's a bunny gnome. So I started the one for May. I'll probably do a couple this month. So that's what's new there. Here's I had a couple different patterns for May, and the subscribers picked this one. So yeah, started that yesterday. Tonight at 6:30 Central, I'm going to be on Mickey Sunshine Creates. She's my partner in crime. We do a lot of event stuff together, and I'm going to be on her live tonight because we're going to be kitting up our next painting, our next diamond painting. This one I should wrap up in the next couple of weeks. I think I will have it done in about 2 weeks. So the next one is Secret Garden. Yeah, gorgeous. If you want to see the full canvas, tune in tonight on her channel. I'll try to see if we can simulcast it on my channel. Maybe, maybe not. I'm not sure about that. But if not, look for Mickey Sunshine Creates. Jump on over. Take a look at the Secret Garden. It's not an event. We're just painting it together. That's all. It's just something fun we're going to do. And we're also going to pick out tonight how we want to enhance the painting, and before we place our monthly order with diamondpaintingdrills.com. I am an affiliate of Diamond Painting Drills. You can always follow the link down in the description, and if you go there and something happens to fall into your cart, yep, I get a small commission. Today is Cinco de Mayo, May 5th, and it's Friday. You know what that means. If you are new to the channel, every Friday, I do the Friday dance. We all get up, we get out of our chairs. I don't know how to dance Mexican. Why? Like, I need a sombrero. Okay. I can't play Mexican music because it's probably all copyrighted. Okay. Currently covering the trial of Lori Vallow Daybell. Yes, some interesting stuff yesterday. And each day I think, oh, it can't be crazier than the day before. Yeah, it gets crazier than the day before. Like, I'm starting to think if you look up crazy in the dictionary, you're going to see a picture of Chad and Lori Daybell. Okay, the day started out with testimony from the continuation of the testimony of Ian Pulowski. Now, Ian is the gentleman who married Melanie Boudreau. She's one of the doomsday followers of Chad and Lori. They all thought that her previous husband, Brian Boudreau, was possessed by a demon, and they tried to have him killed. And we learned yesterday from one of the detectives that if they had been successful with that, they would have gotten $200,000. Melanie would have, in life insurance. So, anyhow, that didn't work. So she marries Ian. Ian is on the stand. Now, what we learned yesterday, or the day before yesterday when he was on the stand, is that after he learned about all this on the night of his honeymoon, all this craziness that is Chad and Lori, and he was afraid for his safety, so he hems and haws over it for a couple of weeks. Then he goes to the police. He calls the police. They said, come on down and talk to us. When he gets there, the FBI is there. They ask him if he'll wear a wire. So we're thinking, okay, we're going to come this morning and we're going to hear these tapes. Well, the judge listened to, I think there were 9 of them. The judge listened to them and said, no, they're not coming in. Because prosecution objected. They said it's a lot of what's on there is hearsay. It's other people making statements that they do not have the ability to cross-examine, and they don't feel comfortable having, the jury hear what's on these tapes. Well, the judge agreed. He came back and he said, no, doesn't come in. So what they tried to do is ask him about his memory of some of these conversations. And some of the things that he said was with respect to the whole casting thing. He said they believed that the demons would come in through bugs that would go in their ears. What? Okay. Yeah. I told you it gets crazier. He said there were blessings flying around like flies. Everybody was given blessings, for healing, for, all kinds of stuff. And on the day of Alex's death, see, they met in November. She and Ian met in November of 2019. That's the month, Tylee and JJ are already deceased. They're in the ground behind they're in the ground behind Chad's house. October is when Tammy dies. November is when they get married. Well, November is also when Ian meets his future wife, Melanie. So now we're going into December when Alex passes away from the pulmonary embolus on his bathroom floor. Well, Lori and Chad call up Melanie that day and they say, hey, they tell her what happened. You need to get to a place of safety. And so Melanie leaves and goes to the temple. So one of the things that this guy said was, clearly he's a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, but he wasn't buying it, everything that Lori and Chad were selling. He feels like, after the fact, he feels like they were being manipulated through all these blessings. He feels like Melanie was being manipulated at a time in her life, like one of the darkest times in her life. She had gone through that divorce with Brian Boudreau. She had lost her children. I always wondered what happened to her children because I thought, oh my God, please don't leave those children with her and Chad and Lori. So Ian felt very much like his wife had been manipulated by Chad and Lori. And I don't doubt it. So one of the things that Lori said, I wish we could have heard these tapes. One of the things she had said to Ian was that she had folded up Satan like a taco and put him in a box in Antarctica. What? Okay. The next person on the stand was Taylor Ballard. Taylor is a health insurance broker. She talked about December 2019. Chad goes into this health insurance broker. He wants to get health insurance for him and his son, Mark. He also, while he's there, he asks, can I possibly add a new wife onto the policy if I get remarried? She says, yes, but you have to do it within 60 days. He comes back March 11th of 2020. Now, let me put this into perspective. This is just days after Lori is extradited from Hawaii and returned to Rexburg because she couldn't produce the children. He tells the broker, I want to add my wife, Lori Ryan Daybell, doesn't mention Vallow, Lori Ryan Daybell, to the health insurance policy. She's incarcerated and she needs insurance. I didn't think you needed health insurance if you were incarcerated. I could be. Well, not in prison. Prison provides health coverage. I don't know about jail. I have no idea. I don't know how that works. So she said you would have had to done that within 60 days of your marriage, and you didn't do that. But she figured out a different way that he could get her on the policy. Something about if they had changed locations from state, moved from one state to another, that's a changing life event. And if there's a change in life event, then you can change your policy. And I don't know. I don't understand all that. Okay. Then we have Angela, I can't read my own writing. Yanzi? I apologize, Angela, if I mispronounced your last name. She talked about, she was the Sugar Salem School Health Insurance or the benefits coordinator. This is the person you go to talk about all your benefits every year if you have questions. So the first year that Tammy Daybell is employed by the school system, she opts for the automatic $10,000 life insurance policy. First 2 years, she just had it at $10,000. Year number 1, $10,000. Year number 2, $10,000. Year number 3, which is 2019, when all this stuff goes down, she increases her policy to the maximum amount allowed, which would be her salary plus some other stuff, $130,000. And she passes away on a Saturday. Chad Daybell is, her funeral's on Tuesday. Chad Daybell is there that Monday morning. What? With his hand out. Where's my money? Where's my money? Yeah. Why aren't you home grieving the death of your wife with your children? So she gave him a beneficiary form, said, you need to fill this out, come back. There was information that needed to be filled out. So he brings the form back on the 25th. She's not there. She's on vacation or something. And he's told to come back on the 30th when she returns. So he comes back on the 30th and has the form filled out. It says that his wife died in her sleep. I don't know if the form needed to be filled out by a doctor. I'm not sure about that. But it's filled out by Chad. He turns it in. He gets the money. Not that day, but I mean, we know he got the policy money. And interestingly enough, Chad is facing 2 felony charges of insurance fraud. Yep. Okay. Then we hear from Detective Colin Nesbitt from Kauai, Hawaii. I would like to see what he looks like in person. Oh, I bet he's a cutie patootie. Them men from Hawaii, ooh, I'll tell you. Okay. I digressed. January 25th, he gets a request from the Rexburg Police Department for assistance in serving some papers on Lori Daybell. So he finds them out at the Princeville Resort, which is a beach resort. He finds them, he goes out there, they're by the pool. There's body cam footage shown to the jury of them by the pool, lounging, and he goes up and he serves the papers to them. Now, this is the paper that says, you must produce Tylee and JJ in Rexburg within 5 days. So they look at the papers, and she shows it to Chad, and they look at the papers, and the officer says, do you have any questions? And she's like, no. And that was it. So clearly afterwards he's kind of surveilling them, and he stops their SUV when they're attempting to leave the Princeville Resort, and they're headed towards the airport. So they're stopped in the SUV. They're asked to step out of the vehicle. They're separated. The vehicle is searched. There's no signs of children in this vehicle. No toys, no nothing. But there's a whole bunch of documents seized. A whole bunch of stuff seized, including Tylee's bank card, a backpack, a cell phone, a tablet that has JJ's initials on it, $5,000 in cash that's in an envelope, JJ and Tylee's birth certificates, multiple copies. There were 14 to 15 copies of Charles Vallow's death certificate. Death certificate. And there was a book called Visions of Glory. Now, I wanted to look this book up. It wasn't written by Chad, but apparently Lori was obsessed with this book. Even prior to meeting Chad, she was obsessed with this book. Let's see if we can find it. Okay, low battery. What? Okay. I wonder if it's on Audible. I don't know. Let's just look. Let's just Google it. Find Visions of Glory, a book. Oh. Oh, it is on Audible. Oh, how funny. What's it about? Let's see what it's about. One man's astonishing account of the last days. So, oh, here. I'm going to tell you what it's about. Okay. Is it going to give me a summary? In this true account of near-death experiences, we learn about the miracles of the millennium, the return of the 10 tribes, the building of the New Jerusalem and Temple, and many other astonishing events long prophesied in Scripture but never before described in such vivid detail. Visions of Glory is a mesmerizing and fascinating read that you will not be able to put down. Apparently, it's this guy had a near-death experience, and he described everything that happened to him during this near-death experience, and someone else recorded it in this book. So, there you go. There was also, sees a patriarchal blessing. I don't even know what that is. What is a patriarchal blessing? It's written out. It was from Alex to Chad, I believe. Let's see. What is a patriarchal blessing? We're learning a lot about this church. In the Latter-day Saint movement, a patriarchal blessing is an ordinance administered by the laying on of hands with accompanying words of promise, counsel, and lifelong guidance, intended solely for the recipient. The purpose is to identify the tribe of Israel to which the individual belongs, whether literal or adopted, along with the responsibilities and blessings associated. Okay. Whatever. Jeez. I'm sorry. Guys. So the next person on the stand is Ryan Pillar. He is from Gilbert Police Department. That's where, that's in Arizona. And he is the one that responded to the shooting, attempted shooting of Brian Boudreaux. And he described this Jeep Wrangler. During his investigation, he calls Rexburg Police Department because he learns from Brian that Tylee Ryan owned a Jeep Wrangler. So he calls the Rexburg Police Department and they say, yeah, we're familiar with that vehicle. It was involved in a shooting, or it wasn't involved in the shooting, but it was parked at a home where there was a shooting, and it matched the description that Brian had given identically. So now, yesterday, there was a hearing. Not on this case. Well, there was one on this case, too. The judge let the jury go, and they did have a hearing on this case about whether the next witness, and this might be the prosecution's last witness, I suspect it is. This is the lead detective for all of this information, and they wanted to bring in his summary, which is quite lengthy, but the defense argued no, he shouldn't be allowed to bring in his summary. It's a summary of all of the evidence, all of it, and the defense's argument was that within that summary, first of all, he said we haven't had time to verify that everything in that summary is accurate, and some of the information in that summary is conclusory, like he says the day Lori Vallow killed her child, when we don't know that she killed her child. So the judge looked at the summary. He ruled that it could not come in its current form, that some of that information that's conclusory would have to be taken out in order for him to consider, again, having it admitted into evidence. So I don't know if the prosecution stayed up all night trying to get that sanitized so it could come into evidence. I don't know. So we'll see what happens today. They're ending court today at 12 p.m. or 1 p.m. Fridays they end early. So then there was a hearing in Chad Daybell's case, and it was held in Ada County, you know, because they did a change of venue. These cases were supposed to be tried together in Ada County. So once he let the jury go, he brought in the attorney for Chad Daybell. Chad Daybell appeared by Zoom. He was in Fremont County in jail. And what they did, it was a pretrial hearing to discuss setting a due date for trial. Now, Chad is facing the death penalty. The death penalty was taken off the table for Lori, and you want to know why? Because of a discovery violation by the prosecution. The prosecution was ordered to turn over some documents to the defense, and they didn't do it in timely fashion. And because of that, because Lori was asking for a speedy trial. Now, had she waived the right to a speedy trial, the judge would have just continued both of these cases. Instead, the judge continues Chad's case, but he can't continue Lori's case because she has asked for a speedy trial. And because of this delay in the prosecution getting this information to the defense, they argued they would be unable to successfully argue mitigation for their client because they didn't have enough time to review all this. The expert that's going to argue mitigation wouldn't have enough time. And the judge agreed. So he said, as a penalty, or, you know, the only remedy is that, you know, you take the death penalty off the table. So she is no longer facing the death penalty. So the question during this hearing was, first of all, how long do you need for this trial? Now, the prosecution said, well, 8 weeks. But then I think she thought better of it because he is facing the death penalty, because you got your main phase, the guilt or innocence phase, and then if they're found guilty, then you have to proceed to the mitigation phase, where they would argue, the defense can say, look at all this good stuff he's done, look at all his good deeds, and he's never been in trouble before, and that mitigates against the death penalty. Which it might, you know. So they ended up with 12 weeks. 12 weeks. Now the judge says, you know, all we can do is ballpark a date of trial. And then, you know, you guys tell me when's a good time, and then I have to go back to the court because he's got to ask this Ada County court. You know, he needs one room for the trial. He needs another room for the media. You know, it's a lot of work for this county that this crime didn't even been committed in to do, put together all these trials. So they ended up, the prosecution said, please, not around the holidays. First they said not too soon because, you know, we've just had all these witnesses here and they've all flown back home, and, you know, we don't want to put too much of a burden on them having to come right back for another trial. And then then you're talking about the holiday time, and we don't really want to be taking breaks for holidays, and, you know, then you're going to start losing the jury. So they actually ended up in May or June of 2024. So now what the judge will do is his clerk will go over to Ada County and see if that's a time when they can arrange to have a trial there. So, and then the judge would notify the counsel of a date for the trial, but not anytime soon, over a year from now. And within that time, he could take a plea. You know, he might see Lori's case. One of the things the defense said that they needed Chad to do was they want him to sit and review everything from this trial, all of the video footage from this trial once it gets released. It'll all get released once the trial is over. And then they want Chad to sit and watch the entire thing and then give them commentary, I'm sure. And that's going to take, you know, this has been a 4-week trial so far. That's a lot of testimony to go through with your client. And then they want their experts to look at the testimony. And so, you know, it's gonna be a while. It's gonna be a while. And he may say, hey, guilty. Get me a plea, please. Get me a plea. Especially since he's facing the death penalty. Yeah. All right, guys, let's do the calendar. Prohibition of dying. True crime terms. Let's see what this says. Prohibition of dying occurs when a law is passed that makes it illegal to die in a certain location. I never heard of that. Be it a building, a site, or an entire town. The phenomenon dates to the 5th century BCE when dying was outlawed on the Greek island of Delos. In order to appease the gods, all tombs were dug up and the bodies were transported off the island. Those who were close to the death were also moved. Death was banned in 1868 on the Japanese island of Itsukushima for religious reasons. You can die in Longyearbyen in Norway, but you aren't allowed to be buried there. The extremely cold weather prevents bodies from decomposing. Modern laws prohibiting dying are typically political stunts used to publicize the need to expand local cemeteries, a process that can stall because of the bureaucratic red tape and environmental restrictions. At least 6 towns across France, Spain, Italy, and Brazil have prohibited dying since 1999. You are not allowed to die. First of all, don't die in my house. Please, I don't want you to haunt me. Okay, there's a prohibition of dying in my home. What? A prohibition. Yeah. You cannot die here. Oh my God, he's dying. Get him across get him across the city limits because he can't die in this town. Oh my gosh. All right. That's the show for today, guys. Have a great weekend. Like I said, I'll be on Mickey Sunshine Creates show tonight. And I'll be live Saturday at 11 a.m. It's the show where I just get there with my subscribers and we chit-chat and talk about, everything Lori Vallow, Daybell from this week. But mostly just, chit-chat, gossip, whatever, right? All right. See you guys. Have a great weekend.